Service delivery protests ahead of the national elections may have a devastating effect on shops and other small businesses. During protests, members of the public often vent their frustration on shops by looting and vandalizing them. This leaves them in ruin and potential losses of millions of rands. The South African Special Risk Insurance Association, Sasria, says the high risk against riots, strikes or protest action have led to losses of up to 1 billion rand between April 2018 and January this year. To help us analyze this, we joined in the studio by Malesela Maupa, who is head of Insurer Relationships at FNB. Thank you very much for coming, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right. Let's start with business insurance and security. Why is it that businesses don't have protective security to avert the risk of being attacked and looted during service delivery protests?
Look, I mean, it's an exposure that is exposed to all various kinds of business and individuals. And there's risk mitigation measures that each business or individual can take to protect their business. But otherwise, if you need to take out insurance cover, like you mentioned, the Sasria, which is the Special Insurance Association, South Africa, which provides which is the only short-term insurer that provides cover against civil riots, strikes, civil protests, and things like that. So those kind of risks that you've just mentioned now, each and every business is open to them, and it's good risk management protocol by the various businesses to try to protect them against the devastating effects of such losses. What we've noticed is that when it comes to years where there's elections, either provincial or national elections, there's a tendency to have an increase in civil protest or civil unrest. So it is very advisable for business to ensure that they have Sasria cover.
So it is the right of community members to protest when they are not happy with a local government that is not giving them what they want and what they have been promised. But that has nothing to do with private business.
Yes.
And the risk there is very high, but it should be expected. Now, what about preventative measures?
Look, I mean, the risk is extremely high. It would be very naive of a business to say, well, they are protected against such events. Well, in South Africa, we have one of the highest riots and strikes in the world. And businesses are extremely exposed. They need to make sure that they have either risk mitigation processes or protocols that can prevent such losses from occurring. And if they do occur, they need to make sure that they have insurance protection behind that to make sure that they can put themselves in the same position before the incidents happen.
So how should business structure an insurance portfolio? Because the damage could be very, magnified during such a protest.
Look, I mean, there's a variety of ways. The easiest way and the most advisable from a broker's perspective is to take out insurance cover. That is the easiest way. Otherwise, you can put in risk mitigation processes and protocols to protect your property, like putting fencing, which is a simple but an easy, effective way, putting fencing around your business to make sure that it's protected during the strike. With strikes and riots, people are very frustrated and they look for easy targets or easy positions to loot and to vent their frustration. So if your business is exposed, then you literally expose yourself to rampant rioters coming in and damaging your property. But if you protect your business, then they will move to the next one that's easily exposed.
Now, when it comes to accountability, is there a process in place to hold those who are protesting and those who have looted that you could have perhaps captured on camera in your CCTV camera arrangement in the shop, personally and organizationally accountable?
Look, with accountability, it's very difficult, especially with riots. I mean, riots has run rampant. An organization can organize a protest, and it will be a civil protest, but rogue elements within the protest might just run rampant and damage property. So when it comes to accountability, it's very difficult to pinpoint exactly where to push a responsibility. But I mean, within common law, if somebody is captured on camera vandalizing or stealing or looting, then I mean the legal system must take its course.
But then what about financial accountability and liability towards the victim?
The victim, then they have recourse and they can claim against Sasria. Sasria will pay for any sort of damage or losses occurred as a result of a strike, riot or civil commotion that has caused damage to your property.
What is the range of business insurance in as far as quantifying how much a business would need to cover all the cost of the damage? So
it goes down to the insured value or insured asset. So as you would insure with conventional insurance insurers, then you would insure the assets. So Sasria also insures the assets that are within the South African borders. So if the assets is insured, then the value associated with that asset would need to be declared to Sasria, and then they would insure it.
Okay. Now, finally, what about key fundamental issues that should be on the tick box of a business person who wants to make sure that all the goods and the property are secured?
My number one advice is to make sure that you have a broker. That's the one individual that will tell you, that will come and assess your risk and look at what the exposures are. They'll give you advice on what level of cover you require, and there's some aspects that are slightly more technical, like business interruption following an incident like this. So you need to make sure that you have the right level of cover for the business that you're exposed to, and for the risk that you're exposed to in that instance.
Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you very much.
Right. We are speaking here to Malesela Maupa, who is a business insurer analyst with FNB, and back to Palesa.